For every human illness, somewhere in the world exists a plant which is the cure. Those were words from the great Rudolf Steiner, and it's something that I firmly believe in. Many of the pharmaceuticals that humans rely on today are the result of herbs, plants, and weeds. But what if we were to relearn the lost knowledge of the people before us and invest time in learning, growing, and building our own herbal apothecaries at home that we can use as a preventative to common illnesses? Since leaving the city and moving to my little homestead in the country, I've been on a quest to obviously grow as much food as I can for myself and be as self-sufficient as possible, but I never expected to get onto a whole other journey of herbalism and healing plants. I remember my time in Mexico and Jamaica and speaking to locals and them identifying plants all around us that would help them when they were ill. And I thought there must be an equivalent to that at home where I live. And lo and behold, there is. And now I'm filling up my kitchen with herbs that I've grown or picked to dry, and they soon end up in my herbal medicine cabinet, which is so exciting. So I thought I'd put together a how-to guide on starting your own herbal apothecary. We'll focus on a number of different ailments and the herbs you need to combat that. I'll also show you, if you can't grow or pick your own, where to get herbs from, and we'll go through everything from labeling to jarring and how to store them and how to use them. Let's get into it. So, welcome to my ever-growing apothecary medicine cabinet. I am so proud of this. It doesn't just help me and my family too, but also it looks beautiful, and it's still, we've got a shelf to fill, and we'll fill it today because I've got loads of herbs drying and we're going to fill this up. But we're going to break it down. Chapter 1 is all about colds and flu and what herbs I have in here and use to combat a common cold, because at winter time we all know we're a little bit more susceptible, I can't say that word, to the common cold. But these herbs will help you fight it off faster and hopefully prevent you even getting it. That's the game, that's the aim of the game anyway. Number 1, believe it or not, is thyme. We all have this at home already in our cabinets for cooking, and it's one of my favorite herbs to infuse into dishes. But did you know it's actually also famed for its antimicrobial properties? It's really good for coughs and it's good for the respiratory system. So thyme is the number 1 herb for me when it comes to colds and flus. The next one is probably my favorite of everything that's in here, and it's from the garden, from the lanes around my house. It's actually elderberry from the elder tree, which is one of the best trees on planet Earth, I think. Not only can you have the elder flower, which is really floral and delicious and good for you in a healing sense, but also the berry. So this berry is being dried. I picked it and let it dry in my dehydrator, and it's so good for boosting the immune system and helping prevent or shorten the cold. It also tastes so delicious and adds a real fruity red colour to your teas. I can't believe it, but I'm bringing my homestead and this show on tour to a theatre near you very soon. Be prepared for the most intimate, magical, passionate evening where all of us guys, like-minded people, are going to come together and just have the best time. I can't wait to meet you guys, so please can you think about supporting the channel and come along to one of the evenings by clicking the link beneath this video to get a ticket, and I'll see you there. Can't wait. Oh, finding this herb was something very special last summer. It's called mullein. Now this treats any chesty coughs or any mucus buildup you have in the lungs. This is so good for. Historically, it was actually smoked or used as an alternative to tobacco. I don't know how good that is for your lungs. Maybe just stick to having it in a tea or an infusion. But mullein is so good for all your respiratory system and your lungs and whatnot. But yeah, it's grown in my garden now as well, so hopefully next year I'll be harvesting homegrown stuff as well. Okay, well, this is actually my favorite herb of all time, yarrow, aka nature's plaster. Not only does this have the ability to help you with cuts and wounds and things like that, but also it's actually good for healing colds too. So I picked this from my garden, I dried it out, I hung it to dry in the kitchen, and it's something that I rely on when I get sick. It's traditionally used to reduce a fever and stimulate sweating. So the fifth and final herb of the cold and flu chapter is echinacea, of course. We're always told to get echinacea when we've got a cold or we want to prevent a cold. It is famed for its healing benefits, not just for colds, but a whole variety. And I talk all about that in my Herbal tour garden video, so check that video out. I've grown quite a bit this year and I turned what I grew into a tincture, and that's how I consume echinacea when I'm trying to prevent an illness. But if you want to get your hands on echinacea and a whole variety of herbs that I mentioned in today's video, then I recommend checking out Indigo Herbs, where I stocked up on some more echinacea, and I'm going to fill up my jar, label it and add it to my apothecary cabinet. Echinacea supports your immunity, helping the body fend off respiratory infections. Now don't worry guys, later on in this video I'm going to show you how to get the benefits of these herbs, some simple ways of how to use them. The next topic, the next chapter, are herbs that I use to combat stress, anxiety, insomnia. These are calming herbs, and the first one I always go for is lemon balm. This just grows like a weed in my garden, believe it or not, and as you brush past it, you can smell a whiff of beautiful, refreshing lemon, and it adds exactly that flavor to teas. It's also great in a tincture form, but this is famed for its calming properties and helps ease anxiety. The next calming herb is passion flower. This is probably the most beautiful flower I've ever seen in my life, and I'm lucky enough to grow it in my greenhouse. Not only is it beautiful, but it's also known for its calming properties. It helps with mild anxiety and promotes a restful sleep. The next herb, of course, chamomile. This is my favorite calming flower. I can't grow enough of it, to be honest, but next year I have a mission to grow so much chamomile that it will supply me for the rest of the year, because I pretty much have this 2-3 times a week in a tea. It's so soothing, relaxing and calming. And what I will say about these herbs, the actual ritual and sort of relaxing feeling of brewing a tea and having it a few hours before bed is a very relaxing wellness sort of exercise. So coupled with the power of the herbs, then you're going to get a restful sleep, you're going to calm yourself, you're going to ease that anxiety. But chamomile is one that has been in my apothecary cabinet before I even had one, because I've always known about the benefits of chamomile. Oh yes, I've been excited for this one for a long time. This herb, hanging by here, is some homegrown skullcap. This herb is apparently amazing for promoting a good night's sleep and easing, you know, insomnia and things like that. I don't struggle with it, but sometimes I do take a little while to switch off. So I'm going to see how skullcap affects my sleep. But what a plant. It grew beautifully in my garden, so easy to grow, and I've just hung this to dry for about 4 weeks, and it's now ready to be broken up and crumbled into my jar and placed inside my apothecary cabinet. But skullcap is another calming herb that's effective for relieving tension and supports relaxation. And an honourable mention for calming herbs such as lavender, which I have in my apothecary, and it's even calming for my chickens. Plus valerian root, which is really good for treating insomnia because it's a mild sedative. Quick disclaimer for you guys, of course, while these herbs have profound healing benefits, it's really important to treat them with the same caution as any other form of medicine. Self-treatment is empowering, but it does carry the risk of misdiagnosis or incorrect dosage. So it's crucial to seek the expert guidance, especially when dealing with a serious or persistent illness. That said, what I love most about using medicinal plants and building my apothecary is the deep connection they foster to nature, the people before us, and a holistic approach to health. These plants remind me of a time when healing was integrated with the rhythms of nature and emphasize a prevention and balance over merely treating symptoms. By incorporating healing herbs into our lives with respect and knowledge, we can nurture our well-being in harmony with nature and our ancestors. All right, so chapter 3, herbs for bloating, for digestion, for general sort of stomach issues. First one, I'm choosing is lemongrass. Fever grass is what it's called in Jamaica. I keep saying they're all my favorite herbs, but the fact that I can grow lemongrass in Wales in my greenhouse makes me so proud. And this is a bunch that I picked a few weeks back and I've let it dry gradually. But this is the first herb that is great for treating any digestion issues and great for after eating food. I like to make a tea with lemongrass, mint, fennel and chamomile after eating my dinners, and it will ease bloating and just help me digest my food better. So yeah, I mentioned the tea that I make for any digestion issues, and fennel is an important factor in that. It eases bloating and gassiness, and also it's quite subtle and not too powerful, so if kids have poor stomachs you can make a tea with fennel. And there's a reason why when you go to Indian restaurants after, they'll give you a little nibble of a candied coated fennel seed, and it's just to help your digestion. Same with anything with mint. Mint tea after dinner is great. It helps ease your stomach and helps you digest the food. So I don't actually have dried mint or peppermint on this shelf because I just go out in the garden and I pick fresh mint when I want to make a tea with it. I also mentioned chamomile too. Again, they're so good for helping you relax yourself and calm and get ready for sleep, but they're good for digestion too. So many of these herbs do have multiple uses, and the more you research, the more you realize that. And that's why it's quite difficult really to tell you which herbs do what, because they all actually have multiple benefits. But that's where researching and reading books guides you and tells you the dosage, the amount to take, how often to take it to combat certain ailments and illnesses that you may have. So talking of teas and infusions, you're probably thinking, you've got all these herbs, how do you unleash the medicinal properties from each one of them? Now there's 3 simple ways that I use to get the power out of these herbs. Number 1 is a tea or an infusion. Now I'll often make tea blends such as the bedtime tea that I made in my Herbal garden tour video. It's a combination of herbs that have a purpose. You blend them together and you steep them in hot or boiling water to draw out the powerful benefits locked within the walls of the herbs. And taken in the right dosage and consistency will help you combat the issue you want to regulate. Number 2 is a tincture. Now I mentioned a tincture earlier. It's a super concentrated herbal liquid you make by soaking herbs in alcohol. The alcohol pulls out the good stuff from the herbs, so you end up with a strong, long-lasting natural remedy. Making one is pretty simple. I just grab a clean glass jar, add my dried herbs and cover over with a strong alcohol like vodka. I seal the jar and label and date it and store it in a cool, dark place for 4 to 6 weeks. I'll shake it every day, and when it's ready, I strain the liquid through a cloth or strainer, and that's my tincture ready to use. 4 to 6 weeks does sound like a long time, but I'll always have tinctures brewing in my cabinet, and before you know it, they're ready to bottle up. So the third way I get the benefits of these herbs is to make a salve or something topical that I can put on my skin if I have an issue. Now a salve is basically an infused oil. I infused for this one some calendula and some St. John's wort into olive oil for about 6 weeks. Once all of the properties of the herbs have leached into that oil, I then melt together some cacao butter and shea butter and stir the oil through the melted butters and let it set. That can be applied to the skin when I need it. For example, the St. John's wort and the calendula are good for skin irritations and burns. I recently burnt myself in the kitchen, and I've been applying this to my skin a couple times a day, and I've noticed it healing up so quick. This was a horrible burn that I did in the kitchen, but knowing that I had the herbs and had put the time in to make that infused oil, to make a St. John's wort salve to heal up this burn, was like a badge of self-sufficiency honour, especially considering I picked the St. John's wort in my garden too. Oh man, it feels so, I feel proud, I really do. We'll talk about skin next and things like burns and rashes and things like that. I think we'll talk about calendula, which is one of my favourite flowers, but as you can see, I've got calendula hanging here to dry. They were growing in my garden. They'll soon be dry enough to put into my jar. They can be drunk as tea for various other benefits, but they are great for skin. People with eczema will often be told to use calendula balms and moisturizers. So it's always been known for its great skin benefits. St. John's wort is another herb that is great for burns too, as I've said, but also it's great for seasonal affective disorder too. So stock up on St. John's wort, it's got multiple uses. A couple of extra ones for the skin. We talked about yarrow earlier, one of my favorite herbs, also known as nature's plaster. That one has helped many people over the years. The Latin name of it is Achillea, named after Achilles because he knew the power of this herb. He gave it to his soldiers during battle when they had wounds. It healed them up faster and they were able to win their wars, believe it or not. That's where it gets its name from, Achillea. And then the final one is southernwood, aka the cola plant. This grows outside my front door because of the smell. It smells like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or any number of those cola style drinks that I do not drink. But the smell of this smells like cola. It's incredible. It's really good for an insect repellent and also has some anti-inflammatory properties. So it's great for use on any skin issues. That is southernwood, an amazing herb. It smells so good even when dry. Wow. The next issue that these herbs can sort out, and it's something I wanted to keep separate to colds and flus, because having a sore throat during a cold can be debilitating. Debilitating. Gosh, I'm trying to use some words today that are not in my common vocabulary, but we're doing it, guys. Trying to share the knowledge of the herbs. So anyway, rather than reaching for a Strepsil or a sugary cough sweet tablet, I pick up licorice root. Now you can get it in the whole root like this or chopped up. Indigo Herbs sell it, so I'll pop a link beneath for their website if you want to get some. But this is really good at soothing the throat and the whole respiratory system. Not only that, marshmallow root as well. It sounds amazing, doesn't it? But when you drink marshmallow root and when you add it to your teas and infusions, it sort of almost has this creamy sensation or mouthfeel. You can actually feel it coating and healing up the mucous membrane. So I always have marshmallow root when I'm feeling like I've got a horrible sore throat. Another one I'd add to my teas for a sore throat or a cough would be sage, believe it or not. Something that I grow in abundance in my garden, not just for its flavour in cooking, but for its herbal medicine uses. It's an antiseptic and anti-inflammatory, and what you can always do is make a strong infusion, let it cool, and gargle the sage infusion in your mouth for a little while to help ease the sore throat. I'm so proud to be stood next to these many homegrown herbs that are going to help myself, my family for years to come, and the more knowledge I get, I reckon the bigger this cabinet will need to be. But just a couple more ones to shout out. I reckon, nettle is really sort of underrated. It's treated like a weed in the garden, but we should all know about the effects that it has for treating seasonal allergies. Yes, you can have fresh nettle tea, but if you can't get hold of that, then get dried nettle. You can make a tea with that or a tincture to treat seasonal allergies really well. Holy basil, or tulsi as it's also known as. This is famed for its medicinal properties. It's just a magical one. It's got so much history locked within it, so definitely check out holy basil. Other ones I really love and have often, Damiana. This is an adaptogenic herb that will stimulate you. It's a mild aphrodisiac as well, so I make a tea every now and then when I'm feeling like I need it. Damiana is great tasting too, actually. Another one is willow bark. Believe it or not, this is also known as nature's aspirin because it's a pain reliever and it reduces inflammation. So what I've done is made a simple tincture. I mentioned how to do that earlier, and that is just steeping it in the alcohol. It needs about a few more weeks before I drain this, and I'll have nature's aspirin at the ready. And last one in the cabinet that I haven't mentioned, this is raspberry leaf. It's packed full of vitamins that are so good for us. And also another one for digestion, really. But my girlfriend says this is amazing for PMS relief. This is an all-round amazing herb and one that I need to research some more. But to think that just my raspberry plants outside in my garden, I can pick the leaves, dry them off, and I have something very healing and medicinal at my disposal is really, really amazing. Oh guys, by the way, if you're wondering where I got these amazing jars from to build my apothecary, they're from my friends at Pearl Jars, and they've given me an affiliate link. I'll pop it beneath this video. So if you want to support myself and get some lovely jars from Pearl, then click that link. I also want to say before I finish this video that the winner of the bedtime tea, a giveaway competition that I announced in the Herbal tour, garden tour video, is, drum roll please, Inez Algot. Inez, I'll DM you on Instagram. Thank you so much to everyone that entered. I'll send you the tea as soon as you get back to me. So that completes the tour of my ever-growing herbal apothecary cabinet. This is true richness for me, more so than any materialistic, fancy car, all that stuff. This is true richness, being able to treat my family and I with ailments at home using my own herbal apothecary cabinet and using knowledge, ancient knowledge from the people before us. Growing, learning and using medicinal herbs has reconnected me with nature in a real way, helping me to appreciate the ancient knowledge and cultural traditions that have guided herbal practices for centuries. This is empowering me to become more self-sufficient and gives me the tools to take an active role in my own health. It's also inspired me to keep learning as I realize how valuable and often forgotten this knowledge is, especially in our increasingly chaotic world. I feel like this is not just a personal pursuit, but a vital skill that we should all reclaim and navigate. If you want to up your herbal knowledge, then I recommend getting the following books.